Well, good afternoon everyone. We've got a wonderful ride here that's around the city of Peterborough. So the Peterborough has a cycle track that goes around it through the centre and then heads north, called the Green Wheel, and we're going to follow that for the north of our ride, and then we're going to return via the south of Peterborough. So we're going to start over on the left in a small village called Chesterton. Then we're going to head off, join the Oundle Road. Now there is a cycle path along there, but we didn't take it just because it was a quiet time of the day. Then we joined the Green Wheel and we head up towards Fairy Meadows, which you'll see is a really peaceful place, excellent resource for any town. Then we follow the old railway that's also a steam railway into the centre of Peterborough, where we stop off and we visit the cathedral for a little bit, and then we follow the River Nene. But most of the way you've been following along either river or railway. We then turn around, head south and take the King's Dyke, follow the river along and then cut back around, and then we've just got that last little bit which has got a nasty crossing on it because we were returning to where we started. But you could see on the starting point you could push that to the west or to the east and find a satisfactory crossing for the road. And the key point of this whole journey is that almost every bit of it is either on cycle path or it is off-road. There's quite a bit of gravel involved, but generally we are off-road, so it's quite safe for young families and other things, apart from that dangerous crossing at the end. We would highly recommend it. And the scenery along is very peaceful throughout much of it, even when you're going alongside a housing estate. So here's just a summary of the sorts of things that you're going to find in those locations. So we're starting over in Chesterton down there in the west, and so we're just leaving the farm on which we were staying on, heading down past the crop, through the automatic gate, and then we join the Oundle Road. And we follow this along. Now there is a cycle path just the other side of that barrier, but we decided that we were actually just going to stick in the road because it was a quiet time of day. We work our way along, we followed our way round the bit of cycle path there, and then we head off starting up the Green Wheel cycle path. So now we're heading up towards Fairy Meadows. There were quite a few people who were beginning to head off to their lunch from the local businesses, walking along. And this road, you can see, we make these videos so you can see the quality of the road surface and any obstacles you might meet, but it's extremely well laid out. The road surfaces are impeccable almost throughout. And so we work our way up to Fairy Meadows, and Fairy Meadows has got lakes, it's got all sorts of visitor attractions and centres that you can stop at. So we're going to work our way around the lake. You could actually just cross along the railway, but we felt it was much more interesting to go around the outside. So we're heading around Fairy Meadows, keeping the lakes to our right. There is a visitor centre there with toilets and other things, so you can buy coffee or whatever, and then we start to head off up to follow alongside the railway that there is there. Now it's a bit tricky getting through these gates, which is a bit of a nuisance really, but we're now going to follow along, and the railway is just over to one side. Very long straight roads, and here we are at the station again. We have to cross over, follow along. We'll crisscross the railway several times. Here we are crossing it again. Not so easy with a tandem, but straightforward on your ordinary solo bikes. And now we run alongside the railway along this path. A little bit overgrown at the moment, but that's probably not an issue. It looks like it's generally well maintained. So we're following along. Now we're heading with slight spiral now as we head our way towards the middle of Peterborough. And we just stop on this bridge, which is just on the outside, just underneath, and that bridge we saw going across the river back there, we are going to be crossing in a second. So this is on the cycle path. You can see there's other people using it. And we got up onto the bridge and we just had a little look around, and you can see how tranquil it is. These are new flats that they've put up, but a very peaceful thing with a flotilla of swans heading its way out of town. So now we head back into the town, and we're actually still on cycle path, as you can see. We did cut across there, and now we're in the park that's right in the centre of town there. You can just see a green area, and we saw the cathedral in the distance, so we made the choice to actually go off and visit the cathedral. So we cut across past this formal gardens, and we're just going to head up to have a little look around the cathedral. I'm a bit of a sucker for wonderful old architecture and old buildings, so you have to sort of get in round through the old with the old buildings that are all the way around there. And now here we are at the cathedral. Classic cathedral for these areas, with these octagonal towers, very much similar to you find at the top of Ely Cathedral, which is out a bit further on, about 20 miles away. So now we're retracing our steps back to the park down by the River Nene, and then we're going to follow the river along. So we head down, and you can see the river's on our right, and we just get closer and closer. Now there is a path that runs parallel with the river, or you can drop down towards, actually on the river's edge, and that's what we decided to do. And we had a chat with a few of the boat owners. Some people seem to live on their boats. And we're heading our way up river. We have to cross the bridge, and now we follow this long section, which on the map there you can see says River Nene. We're along the northern part of that, and we followed along. We did stop and have our lunch at one point, but it was very blowy on this day, because you can see it's really exposed, but then you come to expect that of the sort of the borders of Northamptonshire and Lincolnshire and Norfolk. So we're working our way through, and we can see a bridge slowly appearing in the distance, and we're going to have to cross that. But very blowy, but not uninteresting, and lots of wildlife. So we're now getting out, we cross over this bridge and then descend on the other side, and now we just cut across the meadow, and then we're going to turn right and start heading back along the edge of the River Nene. But this time there is a bit of a hill and a field between us and the river. Work our way along. Now this section is not quite so well maintained, but it's still a good path, and it's fine. There were one or two other cyclists on there when we met them. So we work our way down until eventually we leave that, turn a sharp corner, and we'll be joining the King's Drive. So here we are, we've reached the bottom, we take a turn and we head over. We're crossing one of the tributary rivers, and now heading off. And we start to work our way round through a bit more countryside, and we're following the edge of this housing estate that you can see here. So this is a path that's been built to the outside, so the housing estate is on our right and it's all grass and green on our left, and we follow that for quite some time. It's very peaceful. Sometimes we get close to the houses, sometimes we move further away. Regularly following the river, crossing the river. Heading our way towards the village of Farset. Surface here is gravel, but that will be improving soon. So as we get near to the village, here we have to go through a little bit of the town, but it's almost completely deserted. There are cars here, but very few of them were moving. And out again, slightly larger road here, as we work our way around, and then we disappear around a little chicane and we're back on the cycle path. So working our way back towards the park that we were on earlier on, that actually almost seems to skirt southern Peterborough. There's a new housing estate going up here on our left. We crossed the main road and now we're following around more housing development and back onto the old path again. It's just where they're building new areas, they're redirecting the path back through the woods. And now you can see we're entering the part of the town called Hampton Gardens, and we just skirt through a lot of that. But we're on the green section, you don't really notice it too much. Through the open farmland, there's areas of water, there's areas of field, there's hidden areas of woodland, all sorts of things going on all the way around us. Gravel surface is a bit rougher here because it's more agricultural and it's been used by some larger machinery involved in the building. Have to cut round a gate here, which is really the story of everything that we're doing. Now this road is actually almost completely deserted, and it seems to have been cut off at each end, so although it's got a double white line through the middle of it, doesn't seem that there's any traffic ever on it. Maybe some local stuff. And now we're heading out towards the farms in the distance. And then we turn just off this, go through the gate here, and now we're in the village of Haddon. We're now going to start heading across, and we start heading north, very slightly west, and quite interesting, up by this beacon that seems to be glowing there's a little chapel that somebody's built, a little box of Bibles and prayer books. And we just felt that was an interesting contrast to the cathedral that we'd been visiting earlier. We carry on up this hill, and then the path seems to disappear into this hedge, and you follow it through and it descends rapidly, and then you're faced by this major road, the A605, and we had to wait for a gap in the traffic. We pushed across, worked our way up, got a puncture in this next little section, and cut across the long straight road across the farm towards that mast that you can see. Just past that, get to the farmhouses, through there and round to this last farmhouse, and that was us back at our campsite. So here's a summary of the route. It's a wonderful little route, particularly the northern part, but none of it is particularly bad except for that road crossing. So you can find the GPX for this on our Neen and Peterborough almost without traffic route, and pick up other routes that we've got there. So we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our next ride. Bye for now.